Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV today. You know, we got wrapped up with watching the Super Showdown pretty late last night. It was just a little bit before midnight. And then I came into the office here. I came down into the studio and I sat here at this desk. And I thought to myself, maybe, just for a second, maybe if we ignore what has happened here at the Super Showdown, and maybe if we go to sleep, maybe if we go to sleep and we wake up in the morning, maybe this will have been just really one long, drawn-out nightmare. Maybe it will have been a terrible, lucid dream that I could wake up and shake it all away and make it all not happen and make the future and the road to WrestleMania be something that we could actually be interested in. But lo and behold, that was not the case, and I opened my eyes this morning and Bill Goldberg has still beaten the Fiend in epically bad fashion at an epically bad show that nobody needed to tune in to see, nobody wanted to see, and now it has ramifications that has ruined one of the greatest characters that has ever stepped foot in the WWE. And we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Super Shitdown Review and Reaction Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
My God, man, I woke up this morning and I realized something. I realized that SmackDown's champion is a 53-year-old Bill Goldberg. I realized that the champion on Raw is Brock Lesnar. We also seen last night the return of The Undertaker for his obligatory WrestleMania appearance, which at this point really doesn't mean diddly squat. We seen The Miz and Morrison being returned to the top of the tag team division as the tag team champions right now, and we got the best thing in all of WWE right now, featuring a returning Edge and Randy Orton. And I'm asking you guys and everybody else, what fucking year are we living in right now? And why does the WWE, when we get to WrestleMania season, feel this need, this incessant, just crazy obsession to take all of the names from the past and put them above and before all of the current generation of superstars that are supposed to be signaling the future of the company? You're telling me that Bill Goldberg is the 53-year-old future of the WWE? This is not how you create superstars. This is how you kill superstars. And the WWE is guilty of this throughout space and time. It has happened from the beginning all the way until now. There has been instances of them taking a person who does not need to be at the top of the food chain anymore and putting them above the heir apparent and the obvious person that should be leading the charge for the company. And I'm not talking about the blatantly obvious ones like Daniel Bryan back for WrestleMania 30 that they brought in a Dave Bautista to take Daniel Bryan out of the main event until they forced Daniel Bryan. The fans forced the WWE to push Daniel Bryan back into the place where he belonged. This has happened years before that. WrestleMania 9, Bret the Hitman Hart was supposed to beat Yokozuna, but in comes Hulk Hogan, and all of a sudden we have to have a one-eyed Hogan beating Yokozuna at a WrestleMania that he shouldn't even have been part of. They were trying to phase him out, and now all of a sudden he's back at the top. And then in more recent years, we've seen this done to The Fiend now twice. Bray Wyatt was the hottest thing in professional wrestling as the leader of the Wyatt family, and they scooped him up, all of his momentum, all of his heat, and fed it straight to John Cena at WrestleMania for no reason whatsoever, and many thought Bray Wyatt would never recover. He worked his ass off to recover. He created a whole new entity, something that was new and unique and interesting. And sure, their use of him and their booking of him has been piss poor since his debut, but the Firefly Funhouse and The Fiend and Bray Wyatt was one of the coolest things going, one of the only reasons you wanted to watch WWE right now. And you took all that work and you scooped it up and you fed it to Bill Goldberg? all to make a better match for the big dog at WrestleMania? No, this is wrong. This isn't even the first time they've done this with Bill Goldberg. 2017, Kevin Owens. Still, to this day, one of the best things that WWE has going for it. Was the Universal Champion. Until we got to Fastlane, and they took Kevin Owens and all of his momentum and everything he was doing as the second Universal Champion in history and threw it into the lap of Bill Goldberg so he could have a better match with Brock Lesnar. And we all know how that turned out. Why do we keep doing this? Why is Roman Reigns the end game in 2020 after 6 failed years? And 3 previous WrestleMania coronation attempts. He's going to get another one? And now you sacrifice Bray Wyatt just so that this man doesn't get booed out of the building at WrestleMania? I hope to God right now that to all the wrestling gods in existence, I hope that, the WrestleMania fans that show up, they are the smartest fans. They are the most marked crowd you get in the whole entire year. I hope this backfires in this old man's face. And I hope that fans are smart enough to see what they did here. And take how you're angry at what they did to the Fiend and transpose it onto the company. Don't affix your anger onto Bill Goldberg. Yeah, maybe he should have known better. Maybe he should have stood up and said something. Maybe Bray Wyatt should have stood up and said, maybe this is a bad idea. Nobody did any of that. But at the end of the day, there's only one person to blame. And your hate should be directed at him. Your hate should be directed directly at that 70-year-old senile old man who has no idea how to do wrestling anymore. He has no idea what is important. Bill Goldberg is not important. What has Bill Goldberg ever done as a WWE superstar to be given all of this shit in his 50s now? This was a WCW guy. They don't roll out this kind of shit for a guy like Sting. But Bill Goldberg, let's give him the fucking world. A 2-time Universal Champion now. Once red, once blue. It's different. It's not different at all. You killed Kevin Owens for Bill Goldberg, and it took him how long to get back to where he's at right now? You killed Bray Wyatt with John Cena. He came back into the fold, and now you buried him with Goldberg. Where does the Fiend go from here? Oh, at least he's not going to lose it to Roman. Roman is not the answer. Roman is the biggest part of the problem. And it's not the man's fault. Vince McMahon just has this huge throbbing cock hard-on for this Samoan guy, and I don't understand why he won't let it go. Roman Reigns doesn't need to be wrestling for championships at this point. The guy's been a multiple-time champion. He's won the Royal Rumble. He's battled and beaten leukemia. He is a main event attraction. He doesn't need to be a champion. You could book him versus Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania, and it's a WrestleMania match just based off of that. And what do you have here? What do you have with this match? Spear versus Spear? Both of these guys' Spear are complete garbage compared to the guy who really made the Spear cool, which was Edge. Yeah, Goldberg did it first, but Edge did it better. Edge is actually a pro wrestler that cares about the business. Bill keeps coming in for a big old payday and ruining the current plans, ruining everything they're working for, ruining everything that Bray Wyatt did. This was a man that was in a Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins and got hit with like 75 curb stomps and got hit with sledgehammer after sledgehammer, steel chairs, all kinds of really vicious stuff, and you couldn't put the Fiend down. But 3 spears, 4 spears, and a bullshit half-assed jackhammer that looked more like a standard suplex than anything else, and that was enough to beat the Fiend. And then you got all these people who I actually respect for the most part on social media, guys in the IWC talking about, oh, well, at least the Fiend was standing tall at the end of the match and then he disappeared like a fucking clown. You didn't even let him attack Bill Goldberg because moving forward, this isn't about the Fiend. And how leading into WrestleMania this couldn't be about The Fiend, I don't know. The Fiend wasn't at WrestleMania last year. What are we doing this year? He was supposed to be going in as the champion. And if the WWE was smart over the last year, they would have simultaneously built a babyface to make him big enough to take out The Fiend, creating a new star, 2 new stars in the process, because The Fiend would have got over as the new top-of-the-line villain on the show, and then you would have had even a guy like a Mustafa Ali. If you would have built him from the beginning of last year as a superhero-style character, an underdog, a guy that's fighting for everything he believes in, fighting for the people, fighting for the fans, fighting for this, fighting for that, people would have gravitated to him, latched onto him, and when Bray Wyatt sunk his teeth into him and started to attack him, people would have got on the Ali mountain. The guy's got a great look. He's coming out looking like a superhero. You got Bray Wyatt coming out looking like a villain, and you could have had that blown off at WrestleMania. Do you give Mustafa Ali the win? That's another discussion for another day, because that's not what they're even doing. They went backwards. They went backwards, and they're taking the top attraction in the WWE and taking him out of all the main events. Oh, well, he's gonna wrestle John Cena, Mr. Nightmare. Who cares? Who cares? Oh, because Bray Wyatt wrestled with him at WrestleMania 7 years ago? Who gives a shit? What does that have to do with now? Nothing. Unless Bray Wyatt was going to do to John Cena what he did to Daniel Bryan. Bray Wyatt never forgot. Bray Wyatt remembers what you did. The Fiend is going to get his revenge, and he's going to put the championship on the line and now defeat John Cena at WrestleMania, defending his championship, getting his win back, and all that other shit you want to talk about. Fine, you want to do that? I would have accepted that. You had weeks to build that up. But without the championship, who gives a shit? It's just Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, versus John Cena, who hasn't been around in over a year. We've barely seen him. Why do we care now? For the same thing with The Undertaker. You have The Undertaker, 50-something-year-old Undertaker, coming to the Saudi Arabia show to win a stupid trophy that looks like a giant Lego brick. For what? What does he need the Tuwake trophy for? Why even use this thing? How many trophies have the WWE drummed up in the last couple of years that all mean diddly squat? What's going to be the difference here? Now, you gave it to a guy that doesn't need any more prestige. Not that there's anything truly prestigious about this thing anyway. You wanted to keep calling it the prestigious Tuwake trophy. Prestige is something that is built, that is earned with time and with title defenses and with meaningful matchups. There's no prestige to something that is brand new. It's brand new. It means diddly squat. Doesn't mean anything. And now the only thing attached to this ridiculous-looking trophy is a ridiculous match that was won by a guy who wasn't even in the match. And is a legend who shouldn't even be wrestling at all anymore. Don't get me wrong. I've always been, as most of you I'm sure are, a huge, huge Undertaker guy. But he's lost at WrestleMania twice now. Does it matter that The Undertaker's wrestling AJ Styles at WrestleMania? Absolutely not. There's no meaning behind it. What do you care? Is it going to be a great match? Maybe. If you want to base it off of the way the chokeslam looked at the end of this thing when AJ and The Undertaker had their confrontation, I'm not going to be expecting much. But this was awful. Almost a full hour dedicated to a gauntlet match that was booked terribly, where the MVP coming out on top of everything was really R-Truth over everybody. Bobby Lashley, the human milk dud, comes walking out there. He loses to R-Truth for whatever reason. I'm sure everything he signed on for with the whole Rusev thing and having Lana as his manager, that's all really paying off that now he's out there losing to an R-Truth. Then R-Truth defeats Andrade. This I can understand because, hey, the guy's just coming back from a suspension. Everybody's got to earn their stripes back. They're going to start losing. But the way they punked out Andrade was very, very obvious that this was just him taking some lumps. Because he got bitched out. These guys, R-Truth and Andrade, bumped heads. And that was enough to get Andrade eliminated from this matchup. And Truth didn't even mean to pin him. It was an accidental pin. It was fucking ridiculous, is what it was. Then R-Truth wins his third match, defeating Eric Rowan, who's a big giant dumbass. Every time we see him now, they're flipping over his cage. And that pisses him off, sending him into an unbridled rage. And I'm not even meaning to make those rhyme, but that's what happened. And then, for what? For this guy to get himself disqualified, because even he knows that Tawake trophy don't mean shit. It don't come with a championship opportunity. It don't come with anything for Eric Rowan, so I'm just going to throw this match, because I don't care. I care more about the nothing that's in my cage. Then AJ Styles defeats R-Truth, finally, getting him out of there, only for him to have this final match with Rey Mysterio to determine who is going to win the blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen either. Because the OC jump Rey Mysterio in the back. Then Rey Mysterio vanishes into thin air. Nobody knows what happened to Rey. He's just gone. And we see the feet of the Undertaker as he beats up the OC in the back. Takes 9,000 years to come out to the ring to confront AJ Styles for a half a second. And here's where everything really fell apart for me. The referee began to count out Rey Mysterio with the intention of, if Rey does not answer by the count of 10, AJ Styles wins this matchup. We didn't get some sort of an announcement from the back. We didn't have Triple H or Stephanie or anybody come out and be like, whoa, that's not how this is going to happen. We didn't see Rey Mysterio come back out and be like, yo, listen, I'm hurt, but I got somebody that's going to take my spot. No. We didn't do any of the things that would make sense. We just had The Undertaker show up, come out, chokeslam AJ, pinned him after one chokeslam, and then left. Great. This is your build to this match? Why do we need to see this match anymore? The Undertaker beats AJ Styles with one chokeslam. Clean. Now, AJ didn't exhaust himself trying to take out R-Truth. AJ Styles attacked the Undertaker. The Undertaker, he gets a chokeslam for his trouble, and now we're having a match. Now we're going to have a match. AJ's going to retaliate. AJ is going to say something about the Undertaker. He's going to come out, rest in peace, and it's going to be over. And who cares? Without the streak, the Undertaker at this point at WrestleMania, any match that he has means very little. I'm sure it means a lot to AJ. He's going to get to say, I wrestled the Undertaker at WrestleMania, but what did it mean? You're not part of the people that fell in the streak. If you beat him now, you are now the third person to beat him at WrestleMania. What is the point? Why bother? Why not just have the legends come back and do what legends are supposed to do? Like when we were in the Attitude Era and back in my day growing up, you used to see Harley Race come back, but he didn't go to the ring and have a match. He used to be just sitting in the crowd. Hey, remember me? I'm an old man now. I'm over here. And then we used to have little things with sometimes they would write in something for the guys to do. Like when Big Daddy Cool Diesel took the leg of Mad Dog Vachon. The guy had a fake leg, right? So he ripped it off of his leg and he used the prosthetic as a weapon during his matchup. That's just Mad Dog going, hey, look at me. I'm an old man. I'm over here. I got no teeth now and my leg comes off. But here I am. Remember me? So that why can't we just do that? Have fucking Bill Goldberg just sitting there. Hey, look at me. I'm still big and bald and I'm a rip-off of Stone Cold. Remember me? Why do we need to see these guys in action anymore? We don't. And it started right from the get-go on this show with The Undertaker. How do you make me angry at The Undertaker? When you've reached a point where you can get me mad that you use The Undertaker, then you know that as a creative system, the WWE has failed everybody. They fail everything that they touch. Turns to shit. And this show is a prime example of that. The Undertaker wins this cup. After this, we get the Tag Team Championship matchup. The Miz and John Morrison defeats the New Day to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This was okay. Like, I actually don't mind that the Miz and Morrison are the champs because I'm just so sick of seeing the New Day doing the pancake thing, holding the belts and whatever. And I'm hopeful that maybe putting it on these two is going to send the Tag Team division into some sort of an importance mode where they got two of the big name guys, a returning tag team. They got the nostalgia feel on top of everything else. Maybe it'll bring some much needed attention to a tag team division that sorely needs as much attention as it can get. But at the end of the day, instead of, over the last year, building up a team like the Street Profits, building up a team like Heavy Machinery, building up some sort of a new team that you come up with, building up a Chad Gable and an Ali as a duo, you go back to the well of something that was popular 15 years ago and trying to make it popular now. Because you fail on a consistent basis to make new and popular stars that are nowhere near the magnitude of the stars you guys used to create on a daily basis almost. Even your mediocre B-list level guys back in the day, the guys like an MVP, they were better than what we have now back then. But that doesn't mean I want to see MVP now. I'm shocked he wasn't given a spot on this show. Might as well have just been called the Old Age Show every year. The Retirement Pay-Per-View Special. Everybody that shouldn't be doing this, come on down and let's give you one more go for the gold. The tag team matchup itself was fine. It was a good match. It was actually the better of all of the tag team matchups we had to see on this night. Miz and Morrison were a little bit over, but this crowd tonight was dead throughout the entirety of the show. They didn't pop for The Undertaker that much. Like, they would give a little like, yay, and then they would just sit there. And it just gave a really bad feel to watching it from home. There was no excitement. There was no energy. Even poor Mansoor, the hometown guy. Even his own hometown people are like, done with him. They did not care nearly as much about Mansoor as they did when they seen him at the Crown Jewel and the other times the WWE has served him up for his hometown fans. The guy's been winning every time they see him, but I don't blame them. Would you blame them? You see Mansoor once a year, it's like Santa Claus. Great, you love him. But after a while, it's like, do something. I think they fully expected after the last time we see Mansoor, in that great match with Cesaro, that throughout the year he would have been used, he would have been peppered in, he would have become a bigger star, maybe he would have got a run at a mid-card championship, maybe a United States title run or something like that. But they didn't take his momentum off of that. Everybody here in the States, and I know all over the world, was tremendously impressed with Mansoor over his last two outings. But this night, versus Dolph Ziggler, was boring. It's like, I've been there, done that, we've seen all of this already. And if his own home fans don't get into it, then why should we? You could feel like the discourse, even with the fans, they're pushing back off of Mansoor. Which is, yeah, you're cool, you're one of us, but it's like they want to see something else now. Because we've seen this. You give this to us every time we come, and oh, it's a big comeback for Mansoor, and surprise, he wins. But we never see him again after that. Maybe a few sporadic appearances on an NXT, but that don't count. Ridiculous. We get horrible rematches of Angel Garza versus Dr. Dimples and Humberto Carrillo. Why we're seeing this again only a few days after we just seen it on Monday night, and the one on Monday night was 100 times better. 100 times better. This match was way less impactful, way less interesting. Taking out Zelina Vega from the equation too didn't help anything. I love Angel Garza. I think he's fantastic. I can see big things if the WWE decide to actually go with him. But they gotta get him away from Carrillo as an opponent. You want to pair these two guys together as a heel tag team at some point going forward, I'm all in for that. But get these two away from each other as opponents in the ring. I want to see them wrestle other people. I don't want to see Humberto wrestle at all at this point. This is the guy that needs to go back down to 205 or down to NXT and come back in a few months when all is said and done. Reinvent yourself. Have your dimples removed. Grow some balls. Maybe a little chin hair. Something to make you interesting. Because the first shot failed. Back to the drawing board. But Garza's got the heat. Garza's got something. And he's got the fans' interests, at least here in the States. The fans in Saudi didn't give a shit. Everybody in Riyadh sitting here watching this show, it was like they were just waiting for... I don't even know what they were waiting for, because they never truly gave you that big moment. Like they didn't even want to be there, man. It's quite possible that it's the same crowd that goes to this show over and over and over again, and they're just tired of seeing the same shit just as much as we are. And I wouldn't blame them. Why would you give a shit about Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy defeating the Street Profits to retain the Raw Tag Team Championship? This match was way underwhelming. This match just sort of happened. It was there just to be there, just to put Seth Rollins on the show so that he can his way through the roster with his dick disciples. The Monday Night Meathead, Monday Night Man Bun, made his appearance at the Super Showdown and did nothing. They buried the Street Profits. Another team that over the last year has done nothing but comedy, has been nothing but disrespected by WWE creative and management by not truly giving them anything meaningful to be in. And you give them a tag team championship matchup that amounts to nothing. And where do you go from here with the Street Profits? I don't know. I certainly don't. I didn't care about this match. I'm sure many of you guys didn't. They didn't do anything to pull us into it either. It was just a very standard, very slow matchup. And again, the crowd just not being there for half of these matches just really made this a tough watch. We talked about Mansoor defeating Dolph Ziggler. Not going to go back into it. It was a Mansoor match. The guy's on the defensive for the greater part of the first half of the match. He gets off a few little spots where he looks like he's going to make a comeback. It gets quelled by the villain, only to have some big, impactful moment at the end. Mansoor hits a flying moonsault from the top rope that barely connected. He hit him with his knees. He hit Dolph Ziggler with the knees, but got the pinfall, and it was over. Mercifully over. Mansoor then thanked the crowd, did a little bit of a promo in his own language, but the crowd seemingly wasn't as receptive. There was a few fans that had Mansoor section signs, and one guy had a really nice sign that said something like Mansoor, King of the Saudi, or King of the Super Show. I forgot what it was, but it was a pretty cool show, and the guy definitely has his support. Pretty cool sign, I meant to say. This wasn't a pretty cool show. This was a terrible show. But at the end, we've seen this every time they go there, and I think even the fans in Riyadh are done with Mansoor until they give him something better to do than random singles matchups versus mid-card trash like Dolph Ziggler. Speaking of mid-card trash, Ricochet wanted everybody to believe that he earned this championship matchup. Ricochet wanted everybody to get behind him and wanted us all to believe. Why not? Why not me? Why not me? Well, I could tell you in 3 minutes, why not you? I could even tell you in 3 words, why not you? Brock fucking Lesnar. That's why. I don't care for the David versus Goliath thing, even when there is maximum believability. In this match, there was 0 believability going in. Ricochet made me believe that he could win this matchup as much as he makes me believe he's good at delivering promos, which means he didn't make me believe anything. The WWE failed to book this in any sort of an interesting manner. They didn't give you any reason to believe Ricochet was going to stand a chance. They didn't make him look good on the lead up into this. They just had him served up on a silver platter to Brock Lesnar. This match was the same match we see Goldberg and The Fiend have at the end of the show. Ricochet tries foolishly, comes burning out the gate, wants to hit Brock Lesnar before he's ready, supposedly. But Brock Lesnar swats him away like a fly, German suplexes him all over the place, till he finally delivers the F5, and this was over before it even began. Which is exactly what it needed to be. It's not like we needed to see Ricochet in a showcase, but we didn't need to see this at all. You would have been much better having Brock Lesnar come out and just cut a promo tonight. Let Paul Heyman do his I'm Paul Heyman thing and, and progress the story towards WrestleMania. But you want to do this and take Ricochet, who's been struggling. He's been struggling as it is to stay at the surface of this mid-card hell that they call the WWE locker room. And he's now what? He's trash. He's faulty. He's trash. He doesn't mean anything. He's useless. How do you build him after this? Oh, well, it was Brock Lesnar, so it doesn't count. Like what? We're supposed to believe he could beat a Drew McIntyre, but he can't even stand 3 minutes with a Brock Lesnar. You made him look foolish. This match was unnecessary, and I will never understand why it went down. All it did was make Ricochet look like a jerk-off, and it didn't do anything to get anybody more excited for Brock Lesnar because this is a no-brainer. Brock Lesnar should, and did, destroy Ricochet. I'm just struggling to understand why. Just so that he could have a match. You had literally nobody else you could have pulled out to have a match here with Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns and King Dickhead in another poop hammer moment from the night. You can't be watching AEW and seeing cage matches like Cody Rhodes versus Wardlow and then call this a cage match. There was nothing interesting about this cage match. This might have been the most boring steel cage blow-off match I have ever laid eyes on. No color, no blood, no impactful moments, no real usage of the cage itself. A couple of teases of escape, but at the end of the day, the big dog beats the king shit, and who cares? Michael Cole wants to call this, a classic rivalry. It was just classically bad. Nobody gave a shit about any of this. This was a rivalry about dog food. Who's getting the Alpo this week? This wasn't a rivalry that did anything for either man. It didn't make King Corbin come off as a viable villain, didn't make you care about him, and it certainly didn't make you care about Roman Reigns. The fact that this storyline was given precedent over the Universal Championship shows you what they've kind of always thought about Bray Wyatt, and it leads you to just the conclusion that the Roman agenda is a real thing. It's a real thing. It was a real thing back then, and it is a real thing again, and this company is hell-bent on putting that strap on this man. They are hell-bent on making him the number one guy in the company, but it's never going to happen. And like I said earlier, I hope and I pray that you fans that show up in Tampa are smart enough to boo Roman Reigns out the building. Not because of him, but because you want to show the WWE that you are not a fucking idiot. And you're not going to dupe me into falling for this shit. I didn't want to see Roman lose to the Fiend. I didn't want to see the Fiend lose to Roman, rather. I don't want to see anybody losing to Roman for a championship. I just want to see good wrestling. I want to see new characters. I wanted to see the Fiend actually showcased in a WrestleMania main event that mattered for the championship. Giving Bray Wyatt, a guy that has done so much to stand out in this business, his final due. And then you could do whatever you want with the Fiend. Then you could do whatever you want with Roman. But why? Why sacrifice everything to change the main event so that you could possibly get the outcome that you want? You want the crowd to cheer as the big dog beats the 53-year-old man that took the belt away from our cool friend. Don't do it. Don't fall for that shit. Don't buy in. Because if you do, then the old man gets what he wants. And he ends up being right. And he's wrong. He's never been more wrong. If there was ever a time in wrestling that he needed to build a new generation and make his current roster feel important. It's now. NWA blowing up the internet. AEW blowing up on broadcast TV. NXT constantly overshadowing his two shows. And you want to take the best thing you got and throw him under the Goldberg bus? This is not good business. Okay? It's not. Oh, it's the higher profile match. Who cares about high profile if it's dog shit? Bill Goldberg means nothing to the WWE. I'll never understand it. Why Vince McMahon loves him and puts him in these situations, I don't know. Does Goldberg generate more money than The Fiend? The Fiend, was he not the highest selling merchandise person throughout the entirety of the year? Didn't he eclipse Roman Reigns in that department for a greater part of the year? Man, you want to talk about getting things wrong. That is certainly getting things wrong. And obviously we keep circling back to that because that was the hottest topic of the night. What, do you want me to sit here and tell you about Bayley and Naomi's boring-ass match that didn't do nothing? The crowd didn't give a shit. These girls were dressed head to toe, as is tradition in Saudi Arabia. They respected the cultures, and that was fine. They had the best possible match they could, but this match shouldn't have been happening either. Not because they were in a place where women shouldn't wrestle, but because this wasn't the time. Naomi and Bayley should have been saved for WrestleMania, where Naomi could have beaten Bayley. But now she can't say what she's been saying. You know, they had this great story on deck here, where Bayley never beat Naomi. All these years they've been on the same roster, wrestling on the same shows. They never were one-on-one, and Bayley never defeated Naomi. Great story. Can't tell that story now. How you going to get me interested? Oh, well, is Naomi going to get her rematch? Is Naomi going to be in the chamber? Is it going to be Naomi or Lacey Evans? You know who it's going to be. Bam, bam. I'm Vince's baby. You know it. He looks at her and he sees the second coming of Charlotte Flair. And he sees all the coming that's happening in his pants. And he can't stop. And he's 73, so it feels super good. And he's going to put her at the top. Fuck out of here with this nonsense. So that was the women's match. We still have Bayley as the champion. Nothing impactful went down. I will give them credit for booking this match. It was the first WWE Women's Championship matchup happening on the soil of the Middle East. It is the first time an African-American female was given the opportunity to wrestle at all in Saudi Arabia, which I think is the biggest accomplishment of them all. It's a shame that they wouldn't have had her win it and make it even bigger. But other than that, it didn't matter. It mattered about as much as the entirety of the Bray Wyatt character's run. Do you remember the first time we seen the Firefly Funhouse? You remember how I was on the shelf with it? I'm not going to be one of these guys that are dishonest with you and telling you I love that shit, because the first few times we seen it, I didn't get it. I didn't know what they were doing to my Bray Wyatt, and I didn't like it. But then they developed it into this other thing. And then the Fiend came along, and you had the puppets and the craziness. And I was digging it. And it was good. But then they fucked it up. So is their decision here that they made with Bill Goldberg, is it by their own design? Because they took the Fiend and they gave us the Fiend. They gave him the championship. They put him at the top. But then they followed that up with really, really bad programs between the Fiend and a dying in the water Seth Rollins, who the fans just did not connect with anymore. And then you put him up against Daniel Bryan. And in the midst of this, you take Daniel Bryan and you change everything about him. You cut his hair, you shave his beard, which was not supposed to be what happened, by the way. Daniel Bryan will tell you that. And he had to deal with one hell of a shitstorm when he got home, because not only did his little baby did not recognize him without all of his hair, his wife was really mad about it. And that's never fun. That's never fun. But they sacrificed Daniel Bryan, his look, his gimmick, everything about him. The yes chants, everything. And gave it to The Fiend. Giving The Fiend more power. Making him impervious. Everything that he stood against at that Hell in a Cell versus Seth. The strap match versus Daniel Bryan. You just can't keep The Fiend down. He's indestructible. He's inhuman. He's probably way overbooked, even more so than The Undertaker was in his day. This guy's popping up, sitting up after getting hit with crazy things. And you just can't believe that anybody would be able to defeat this man. But here we come to Super Showdown. And a retired, barely part-time Bill Goldberg comes out of the woodwork and beats this man in 3 minutes with 5 moves. And I'm supposed to be okay with it because The Fiend immediately stood up after the 3 count and then stood there pissed off and then disappeared like a little bitch. Oh, it's all in the follow-up. How are they going to follow? What do they got? What could they possibly have to follow up with? The Fiend is a loser. He lost. They didn't take everything they built and hand this power to some new talent who could now be looked at as a huge new star in the company. They handed it to Big Bill so that he could hand it to the big dog, and I want to take a big shit again because it makes me sick to my stomach. You guys, you better do it, man. You better tell this company that they suck by cheering Bill Goldberg from this moment on. Do it out of spite. You could know in your heart that you hate it, that you don't like the guy, but the best thing we could do to show this company that we are not millions of brainless, mindless fans that are going to just take what they shove in our face like we like it, we can show them that we're not stupid. And we could finally put this Roman thing to bed once and for all. If you guys stay the course, if you stay strong, and you stay with Bill Goldberg right now. It's not something I want to do. You see how angry it makes me. You see that I'm not happy about it. But the best thing we can do going forward is jump on the Goldberg train. Cheer him, boo Roman out the building, because we're not sheep. We have brains, we have minds, and we see what you're doing. And we're not going to let you get away with it. I fully stand in support of hijacking the match at WrestleMania. Fans, you got to do it. If you're a Sledgehead and you're going to Tampa, it's your mission. It is your duty to do this. And bring a sign or a t-shirt or something. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm done talking about it. It's bad enough we're going to have to revisit this in just a few hours when we have to watch Suckdown try to explain all of this. Hopefully everybody got back from Saudi Arabia in time, or else we're just going to have to sit and watch John Cena standing there for 2 hours telling us, I don't know, maybe he'll rap for us again. Who the fuck knows? But I don't know what they're doing. Everybody's talking about John Cena being put against The Fiend now, and I really don't care. Without a championship being involved, I don't care. And The Fiend's just going to turn around and say, you know what, fuck Bill Goldberg. I'm going to go fight this guy. We're not going to make it about the championship. He's not going to be mad that he lost. Well, it's not about the championship to Bray. It's about whatever crazy thing he wants to be about this week. Is that what we're doing going forward? Whew. This was a hell of a review. This was a hell of a show to have to sit through. And I want to apologize to all of you guys that actually sat through this ridiculous super shit down in the desert. Because you deserve better as a fan. I deserve better as a fan. And it looks like it's only going to get worse from here. But as always, we are going to continue covering all of WWE's shenanigans. And we will bring you our AEW coverage when we can. When we can. AEW and Wednesday nights and Thursday nights are not really good for my schedule, which is why the posting of those shows gets a little bit erratic at times, but we will be here talking about Revolution this weekend. We got this super shit down stuff out of the way, and now maybe I could feel a little better. I got all this off my chest, but I'm not looking forward to SmackDown tonight. I am looking forward to all of your comments. Let me know what you guys thought about the Super Shit Down in the Desert. How'd you feel when you saw the Fiend go down? How did you feel for the majority of this show? What are your thoughts and opinions about The Undertaker? I want to know it all. And I will try to get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this show, to smash that thumbs up if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why the Super Shit Down is exactly that. Hit that thumbs up for me right now. Most importantly, let's continue to get this channel growing and becoming one of the hottest, newest growing factions of wrestling fans in all of the YouTube wrestling community. And you can join right now and become a Sledgehead by hitting that subscribe button. Very easy. Hit the subscribe, hit the little bell next to it so your notifications are on, and you will know every single time we are here to bring the hammer down on the next edition of the WWE. No matter what it is, the hammer's coming down, and you can count on that. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team is, as always, is each and every one of you. Don't forget to share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they are sick to their stomach over the Super Shit Down in the Desert, and maybe they need somebody to vent with, and I welcome everybody on. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you later on tonight for SmackDown Live right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.